How's it going, YouTube? Recently we hit a massive milestone of 1,000 subscribers. Thank you guys so much for subscribing to the channel and tuning in to my content and my builds and all that stuff. I wasn't really gonna do too much, but I decided, you know what? Let's celebrate this. This is a big deal. And an opportunity came up and I purchased a budget build for the channel. And I'm super pleased to present it. It is a 2011 BMW 335i with the questionable N55 engine. Let's check it out. How about that? Gray, actually probably 50 shades of gray I would call it. The fenders are a different color. The rear quarters are a different color. The entire car has been repainted. Some rust, 200,000 kilometers. Dents here and there, but all this car was, with the $1,000 theme, about 1,400 bucks. The car didn't run when we got it. It was actually in quite a lot worse shape. It was not even close to being in driver condition. But we did recondition a couple little things here and there, and it now is as you see it. We had some cleanup to do on the interior. We did some work on suspension. We did some work in the engine, battery, electrical, and now it's a kind of car that can limp around the lot while it's waiting for service. The spec on this car is also pretty nice. It's a gray, as I mentioned before, on a caramel. It's got no iDrive, automatic unfortunately, but it is got those nice paddles because it is an LCI model. We do have the beautiful individual audio system with the green label speakers, no Bluetooth.
Now that we got the car at the shop and it's running, it looks like $1,000 US was an impossibly good deal for this car. But in fact, it was actually quite a big gamble with this car, and I was quite worried to purchase it.
I didn't really have a lot of information on it. I knew that it sat around for a long time and it wouldn't start. I put a booster pack on it, tried to start it, nothing. And I checked the codes and I had a 36FD. If you look it up, it's basically an electrical nightmare that nobody seems to know how to solve. Some people online told me that the 36FD code came about after their car's engine seized. So before I bought the vehicle, the first thing that I checked is to see if the engine was seized. Tried to spin the engine over and it turned. So 36FD, by the way, is a dropout of communication from the DME. So either like a blown fuse or a relay typically. I checked all of the fuses on the car. I replaced the relay and there was no blown fuses. So I was very worried at this point once I bought the car and started messing with it. So the next thing that I did was I threw in a battery, a brand new one, didn't even program it. And then I tried to even give it more power, boosting it some extra oomph in case the new battery was low, and it changed nothing. So I ended up checking the codes again, and I ended up getting different codes. The 36FD code magically disappeared, and there was a starter code on the CAS module, I believe. So at this point, we pushed the car in with my dad and started getting to work on it. So we did a bunch of work on this just to get this car back to running condition. It sat around for a long time. The battery died on the previous owner, and he tried to crank it with no battery. Tried the original starter. And so we had to replace the starter.
Yeah, it doesn't even click, nothing. Nothing. It draws the power, but it doesn't do it.
I had one on hand from the 435 build, so that was really no cost to me. I got that for free, basically included with the engine.
So what you see here is the very first time the car is cranking. And once I heard this sound, I was very relieved. So then we put everything back together, the DME back in, the screws down to the intake manifold, buttoned everything up, and just wanted to see if it started. Thankfully, it did, and what you're seeing here is the very first time the car actually started.
The oil was dirty, we changed the oil in it. What we still have yet to do, the engine now that it's running, you can hear that it's got a bit of a stumble to it. It doesn't exactly run smooth. It's not a consistent misfire, so it's not like a coil or something like that, but plugs and the valves are very, very dirty. Could use a valve cleaning. It does have some oil leaks. The belts are very obviously in very poor shape. So we're going to do belts, we're going to do the gaskets all around to make sure that there's no oil leaking anywhere in places that it shouldn't. The oil pan gasket is surprisingly in great condition. It's just weeping a little bit, but I mean, we don't need to do it. The internals of the engine look pretty dirty, like there wasn't that many oil changes done, unfortunately. These engines are known to not be very forgiving for that. The next thing that we had to do, which I didn't even know or notice when the car was sitting on the guy's lot, was that the shock for the left front, so that's this one here, was totally blown. The spring actually was bad. The shock was also not doing its job.
I don't know how I missed it, but I genuinely did. Looking at this video here, you can see how difficult it was to lift the vehicle up. I had to lift the rear of the car up with the jack so that I could lift the entire body up with it. And that was just to lift it just enough to slide the hoist arm under, and then I could lift the car up.
The shock mount, to my surprise, on the right front was also totally screwed up. See how it doesn't spin freely? It should be actually more like this one, where it just spins better. This one's also not great, but we changed those out. We found a used set of Bilstein's B4s at the scrapyard and put them in there. Pain in the butt job. That pinch bolt, if you know what I'm talking about, is pretty bad to work with. Kind of a two-man job, using lots of heavy-duty tools, impacts, and other air-powered chisels and whatnot to make that happen. That's all taken care of now, so the car can actually move around. And the last thing that really was making this car very difficult to move around is in the back. I'm going to show you that now. And at the back of the car, we had an issue with the brake caliper. Namely, this one here in my hand that you see from the right rear was seized. It would not retract, it would not do anything.
The brake caliper was so seized, in fact, that it took 5 grown men, plus me sitting in the driver's seat, to push this car out of its spot in neutral, no parking brake on, and to push it up the ramp and onto the trailer. Once we got it to the shop on the trailer, we had to push it off, and it did not want to move, so we had to improvise and retract that seized caliper by force with pry bars and such, and then it finally was able to be moved around a little bit.
What's cool about coming back to these cars is that I can revisit old videos that we did. And one of my most popular videos is the one where I fix the no bass issue in my cousin's E92 335 IS. And this car has the exact same issue. The subs were not producing any sound because the cables were torn. So I came back to this, and a lot of people were asking me if you can repair the subwoofers. And at the time, I didn't know. I didn't have the capability of testing it again because my cousin is not always around, and I don't want to pull the subs back out of his car and test it out. The old subs were thrown out because I didn't really think too much of it. With this car, we actually managed to fix the subs. We resoldered the cables back in place and gave it a little bit extra slack. And then the issue was resolved and the subs work again. And that is great news for people with this issue. It saves you a lot of money. I noticed that the subwoofers online are actually quite expensive. I didn't know they were that pricey. They were, I think, about 200 or 300 bucks for a pair. So, I mean, not an insignificant amount of money to be spent. So, I mean, if I can save you guys some money, I'm sure that will make some people happy. In the trunk, we got quite a few packages for the car. Boxes of parts. We got some used Bilstein shocks in decent shape. We've got a cabin filter that we're gonna need. Some brake parts in there, and a whole host of other parts in here. We got a new rad hose. Ours is broken. Some plugs. We got an air filter, shock mounts, pulleys, gaskets, more gaskets. We got the infamous coolant flange. What else we got? We got couple other things in here. We got a new belt, oil filter, and the oil filter housing gasket. So yeah, we got our work cut out for us, but basically the main stuff that you would expect on a car like this. In the next episode, you're gonna see us get cracking on this car. We're gonna install those parts and get it to roadworthy condition. So if you're excited, stay tuned and consider subscribing. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.